All right, let's talk about that moment. You've just pushed your amazing new app to AWS. It's live, but it's stuck with one of those super clunky, impossible to remember URLs. Today, we're going to fix that. We're going to break down exactly how you can connect a nice professional domain name to your AWS stuff, making your app look as good as it actually works.
So, you've hit this point, right? The code is deployed, the servers are humming along, but then you're staring at a URL that looks like a string of random characters. Because, let's be honest, it is. This is that classic moment every developer hits. How do you transform that mess into something you can actually, proudly share with people?
And this just says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the default AWS domain name, something like d111.111.abcdefg8.cloudfront.net. I mean, you can't remember that, I can't remember that, it just doesn't look professional. And on the right, that's the dream, myawesomeapp.com. It's clean, it's memorable, and it's your brand. So how do we get from the left side to the right side? Well, to make that happen, your application needs a proper address. Just like your home has a street address so people can find you, your app needs a domain name that users can actually type into a browser and remember. And the hero of our story today is Amazon Route 53. Now, the absolute simplest way to think about this service is that it's the phone book for the internet. When somebody types myawesomeapp.com into their browser, Route 53 is the thing that looks it up and says, oh yeah, I know where that lives, and it points the traffic right to your AWS resource. It is the crucial middleman. Now, okay, pretty much all DNS services can point domains to servers, but Route 53 has this really cool trick up its sleeve. It's a special feature that makes everything simpler, it can save you some money, and it's built to work perfectly with everything else in AWS. So let's talk about the magic of alias records. And here it is, the alias record. You see, traditional DNS has standard stuff like A records and CNAME records. But AWS gives us this super powerful, special tool just for its own ecosystem. You can really think of it like a smart pointer that knows how to talk directly to other AWS services. Now, let's break this down, because this is really the core of it. With a traditional CNAME record, you run into some problems. The biggest one, you can't use it on your main domain, what we call the root or apex domain, the myapp.com part, without the www. Alias records, no problem. They work perfectly on the root domain. Second, CNAME queries cost money, but with alias records pointing to most AWS resources, they're free. And finally, a CNAME just points to another name. An alias record points directly to the AWS resource itself, which is a lot smarter. So the bottom line is this. Using an alias record is just the AWS way of doing things. You can use your main domain, you save a little money on queries, and it's perfectly integrated. It knows about your load balancers, it knows about your CloudFront distributions, and, this is huge, it automatically updates if the IP addresses of those resources change in the background. You set it up once, and you can pretty much forget about it.
Okay, enough theory. Theory is great, but let's see how this actually works. We're going to look at how this one idea, the alias record, is used with some of the most common AWS services that you're probably already using.
And you know what the best part is? Once you get this, you realize it's just one simple, repeatable pattern. You learn it one time, and you can use that same knowledge to connect almost any AWS service to your domain.
And here is that pattern. It's literally 3 steps. Step 1, have your AWS thing ready to go, like your load balancer. Step 2, hop into Route 53 and click Create Record. And Step 3, just toggle the alias switch to On and pick your resource from a drop-down menu. That's it. Let's see it in action.
First up, the absolute classic scenario, a scalable app that's running behind an elastic load balancer, or ELB. So traffic comes in, and the load balancer spreads it out nicely across all your servers.
So inside Route 53, this is what it looks like. You put in the record name, like www, you leave the record type as A, you flip that alias switch to On, and then, for route traffic to, you just choose alias to application load balancer, and then you pick your actual load balancer from a list. No copying and pasting IP addresses, super simple. Okay, next pattern. Let's say you're using CloudFront as a content delivery network, a CDN, to get your content out to users all over the world really fast.
See the pattern? It's almost exactly the same. This time we're doing it for the root domain myawesomeapp.com. We toggle alias on, and the only thing that's different is the target. We choose alias to CloudFront distribution and select our distribution. Again, incredibly easy.
And for our third and final example, another really common one,
You've got a static website that you're hosting right out of an S3 bucket. Perfect for a portfolio, a blog, or a simple marketing site.
And one last time. Look at this. The pattern holds true. Record name, a record type, alias is on. And the target? You guessed it. Alias to S3 website endpoint. You just find the S3 bucket you've set up for web hosting in the list. This consistency is exactly what makes Route 53 so powerful and so easy to work with.
So what have we really learned here? You've basically just unlocked a DNS superpower. You now have a simple, reliable, and cost-effective method for giving your applications a proper address on AWS.
If you walk away with just one single thing today, please let it be this: the pattern is the power. For almost any AWS service you need to point a domain to, the answer is almost always create an alias record in Route 53.
And this isn't just for the 3 examples we looked at. This exact same pattern works for API Gateway, it works for Elastic Beanstalk, for newer services like AWS App Runner, and even for really high-performance stuff like AWS Global Accelerator. It is the universal connector for your AWS world.
So in the end, an alias record really is more than just a regular DNS entry. It's a native, intelligent pointer that's built specifically for your AWS infrastructure. It gets how the AWS ecosystem works, it adapts when things change, and it makes one of the most important steps in launching an app way, way simpler.
And so, we'll leave you with this question. That wall that sometimes exists between your brilliant idea and a professional-looking public application, it just got a whole lot smaller. Now that you know how to easily and professionally connect any domain you want, what are you going to build?